welcome to another Espresso. The war for talent, finding awesome people to work with you, the perfect candidate. I mean, whatever you call it. I've tried to record this a number of times, this kind of topic. It's so hard to do because it brings in everything about people, recruiting, work. I mean, it's the golden question, right? It's like, how do you find the perfect candidate? And hey, if you find the best people, you put together the best team, and you're able to create a team with the best people, not always that easy, a high performing team, empathetic, people love working at, the whole thing, then you're onto a winner. You're onto a winner. Because it's fine. Recruiting's one thing, keeping them is another thing. I've made my career out of headhunting people. Happy people are way harder to move, let me tell you. So, there's a whole raft of things that go into this. I just want to share a few thoughts on it. I think right up front, there's no such thing as the perfect candidate. But there's certain things that you can look for, that you need for in the role that you're hiring for. And then it's what you do with these people, how you set them up for success, the environment you build. You can really help people perform. And sport's always a great analogy, right? You often see sports teams, like, you just look at them and they're like, individually, wow, like just the most absolutely incredible talent. And how come they didn't win that championship, win the league? What happened? Or last year, like that team last year, same players. What happened? They just dropped off. Have they become complacent? Is it the manager's fault? Is it the player's fault? A lot of the time the manager gets blamed. So there's a whole raft to this, this human psychology, hiring the right people, whatever the right people is, like for me, it's the right people for the right job. And what that right means, that's where us leaders, hiring managers, that's for you to be super self-reflective and really think clearly about it, because it all stems from there. Like, what is it actually that you're looking for? And you want to hire someone, or there's a reason, like you want to bring them in to do a job. So what does that job look like? Define the job. Then that leads to, right, this is the type of person we need. And be critical. Like, do you really? Oh, I need this and I need this, but do you really? And ask yourself those like super basic but tough questions. Why? What would happen if they had this or they didn't have this? What are you willing to train on? What is really, really important to you? And for me, as an example, we've thought carefully about the types of people we want to bring into our organization. What does a great person look like? I saw this great quote. I can't claim it for myself because it's not mine, but I wish it was. Somewhere on LinkedIn, can't remember who did it. But it was like, I want to hire people with batteries included. I thought that was awesome. And then you're like, okay, well, what does batteries included mean for me? And I kind of, for us, three-ish things means someone has batteries included. And A+ human being, for me, is awesome, right? Like, you want someone who's an awesome human. Because you want to work for awesome humans, because you live every day, you die once, and you want to live every day with great people. And so A+ humans, and everything comes from that, A+ human, loves recruiting, open mindset, wants to learn and develop and so forth. Like, my batteries included. The A+ human thing is, it's true, and it's been around for a long time. And Simon Sinek does this wonderful graph, will and skill. It was from the US Army. And, when it boils down, you obviously rather hire someone who's high will, high skill, rather than low will, low skill, right? You want someone on there in the quadrant. However, you'd much rather have someone who's high will, but low skill, than high skill and low will. Trust me, right? Like, again, using sport as an analogy, you can have the most incredible player, selfish, team hates them, just never works, right? So you want people that you can rely on, that they're there for you, dependable, when the going gets tough. That's when you find out what people are really like. And they're the people you want to find, those high will, reliable, trustworthy folks. And anyway, so I'm just kind of breaking down like some of the things that for me are non-negotiable that makes the right person for my company. I think you start to do the same for yourself. And then you start to really point a picture, because so much of recruiting is subjective. You go to see a firm and they're like, hey, we want someone obviously from our competitors, obviously, and then they must have this. You're like, of course, must, yeah. And so forth. And it carries on, and, it must be from our sector, of course. And you go through all of these things. And actually, when you start to ask some probing questions, and sometimes it's just a why. And, people hadn't thought of it. They hadn't really thought through. What is it that makes someone successful in this job? What are you willing to train, develop, nurture? You can build someone, build someone up into what is your perfect candidate that's perfect for your place and for the time that you're at and the stage you're at and the whole thing. So, this is an infinite game for me. It's being a little bit better than you were yesterday. It's not necessarily winning or losing. You're going to be, you're a little bit ahead or you're a little bit behind. There's many players in the game. There's new players come in. Strategies change. The game changes. The rules change. There's so many things. I think these last few years have taught us anything. There's a lot of change. And I think, our hiring and what we're looking for needs to adapt and evolve as well. And thinking of it like that, like certain people are great for certain moments. Others, you hire them and they might be fine now. And then you develop them and you invest in them and you're kind to them and you nurture them. And wow, like they'll be like, hey, I was made here. How cool is that? So I think there's just a lot of things that go into this. And I would, start to lose I want the perfect candidate, and decide on a few key non-negotiables for yourself. That could be the human skills. That could be, they're doing a technical job and they need to be really good at a certain thing. Hey, if I'm doing heart surgery, I want the best heart surgeon. They need to have, top of the game thing. So, like context for the job you're hiring for, of course. But be self-reflective and critical. A lot of recruiting is subjective. What does a good resume look like? What does a good fit look like? What does a good cultural fit look like? What is, one of these things that you're asking for as you end this year and you start the next. A lot of people have done their budgets. A lot of people are starting to hire next year. Did a poll on LinkedIn, and it's up to 80-90% of folks who've responded said that their companies are going to be hiring early next year, 2024. So there's a lot of folks that are going to be hiring and going through this process. So it's a wonderful moment to really reflect on your selection criteria, your interview process. And when you bring people in, are you setting them up for success? What does your onboarding look like? And you're going to put yourself in a really, really strong position to be able to find and attract the folks that you need to deliver on those business plans, achieve those goals, and all of that stuff. Hope that helps, and have an awesome end to the year, and see you next year.
Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate all of your feedback, thoughts, comments, all of that stuff. Don't forget to subscribe in all the usual places: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that cool stuff. Feel free to leave a review and DM me with any feedback. Much appreciated. Have an awesome day.